What's up, everyone? We are back with another 5 at 5, 5 takes, 5 minutes or less per segment here on different markets in the sports card industry. For our first segment here today, Nate and I are on the same one for basketball because why not? I mean, last night was huge, wasn't it, Nate?
Last night was probably one of the most thrilling games most satisfying games I've ever watched as a Bucks fan. We've been Bucks fans our entire lives. Most of the time, it's pretty terrible. Eighth seeds getting stomped by the Cavs in the first round. You know, Brandon Jennings and Andrew Bogut have some hope. Bogut breaks his arm on a terrible fall, dislocates his shoulder, whole bad thing. And there goes our hope for another 10 years. And then we won the championship last year. It was awesome. But then you want to go back to back. You want to go back to back. And you knew that the Celtics were going to be our toughest test. The best defense in the regular season, not the best defense in the postseason, that belongs to the Bucks, but the best defense in the regular season. And you get into that fourth quarter and you're down like 12 points. And it doesn't seem very optimistic. I wasn't optimistic. I'll say that much. I personally was not optimistic with how our offense was performing, especially without Chris Middleton and with how good the Celtics defense was. And then somehow, some way, through some miracle, we started making threes. They started missing. Giannis hit a three. Jrue Holiday shot 39% yesterday from the field, but he hit a three. Giannis made a free throw. Bobby Portis missed a wide open dunk, but then managed to get the rebound off of Giannis' second free throw and make a shot from like 2 feet that went in and out and in and out and down. Just crazy, but it all led to quite possibly, and this is including Giannis' block on DeAndre Ayton, quite possibly the most impressive defensive play I've ever seen.
Giannis' blocking DeAndre Ayton was amazing, bro. Like last night was super important, obviously, but and I get it. Jrue Holiday pretty much just saved the Bucks season right there. So,
well,
I would agree.
It was the block followed by not letting it go out of bounds, followed by getting it and hitting it off of Marcus Smart before he fell out of bounds. Just incredible.
True.
But we got to keep moving.
I agree with that. Obviously, there's got to be some cards selling on eBay of Jrue Holiday after this game. I mean, how could there not? He has had two of the best defensive plays that have ever happened, actually. That's 25 seconds. I don't know if that's actually ever happened to block and steal in the last 25 seconds of a game. $37.50 on Jrue Holiday Contenders on-card rookie ticket auto. We actually snagged a SGC 910 of this in last week's PWCC Flip Quest episode. And there is the steal I just referenced. Marcus Smart, absolute fraud. I cannot stand watching that guy play. I cannot stand watching him flop. And when he hits a three, man, there's no worse feeling than Marcus Smart hitting a three. It's literally one of the worst. I absolutely hate it. And we got two sales here within the last day or whatever, yesterday and today. 125 on a PSA 9 Holiday rookie of $9.99. The Topps Chrome base, and then a PSA 9. That's sold for $125. Sold today for $160. And yeah, pretty exciting to see Jrue Holiday cards selling. He's really good. A lot of people know that, but not necessarily a huge market. And left the Celtics a little depressed last night, I think.
Oh yeah,
a little
happy.
No doubt about it. And man, what do we see the rest of the series from these two, Giannis and Jrue?
I think they're coming home and they're closing it out. Giannis is too good. He put up 40 points last night. They were not easy points. There was no easy dump offs for the most part. He was putting up tough points. He's bleeding from his eye. I think with the experience they have, they're coming in here. They're closing it out. I think Marcus Smart's going to be a little bit of a shell of himself. Instead of playing angry, I think he's going to be dejected.
I agree. Bucks and 6, baby.
Bucks and 6. Hey guys, Nate here with your baseball 5 at 5. And on the PWCC live stream this past Sunday, Aaron asked me a question about this card that you're seeing on the screen right now. This Eloy Jimenez 2019 Topps Black, numbered to 67 BGS 95. He said, is it worth buying Eloy? How do you feel about Eloy? Yada, yada, yada. And I said, well, I don't know. I used to be huge on guys like Eloy, Yordan Alvarez, those guys. I say, buy the bat. Everything else will figure itself out. And as we've gone on, I still am a believer in that for myself. But realizing what other people are thinking, I don't think I'm a believer in it for an investment standpoint. Because at some point, even if you think it, you have to get other people to also think the same way you do. And it just doesn't seem like it's happening. If you are a guy that is a bat first dude with no defense, it doesn't seem like it's going to happen for them anytime soon. People just don't care. They just don't care. They want guys that play defensive positions and hit. And the defensive position could be like a third base, like a Vlad Guerrero Jr., and then move over to first base. Well, Vlad still hits, but he's cheaper than the other guys that play like shortstop, Fernando Tatis. Outfield, like Juan Soto. He's cheaper than those guys, despite being every bit as good with the bat. And so that brings us back to that Eloy. Obviously, this sold for $408, a relatively cheap price considering the amount of talent Eloy has. And so that got me thinking about some other guys. Yordan Alvarez, Pete Alonso. You can see here a Topps Chrome Sepia PSA 10 sold for $55 on May 10th. Likewise, if you don't even want to look at rookies and want to go back to Bowman Chrome Autos, Pete Alonso, base auto from Bowman Chrome 2016 PSA 10 sold for $485 on the 10th. If you look at historical prices for these two cards, the Pete Alonso highest price I could find, $917 on September 29th, 2019, which is pretty high price, but considering how good he was and he hit 53 home runs and this was before the boom, the fact that we're not even close to that should give you pause on investing in guys like this, because this was pre-boom prices. This wasn't boom prices. This was pre-boom. And it's only 917, and he's not anywhere close to that right now, not even half, or maybe just about half. And then Yordan Alvarez, $150 in pretty much the boom, the April boom last year. $150 might not hit that, but this is a third of the price at 55. And so if you are looking to invest, there is wiggle room here. There is wiggle room for some of these guys, but until other people change their minds, I just don't think we're even going to see $917 or $150 for these cards. And so if you're buying at 55, you're buying at 485, you might be buying at the top of the market for a while. And that brings me to what my final point. John Kenzie Noel or Nico Cavadas, guys from 2022 Bowman Chrome. There is money to be made on these guys as long as they play well in the minor leagues. But there is a very realistic ceiling on some of these guys. $55 for a Bowman Chrome auto of John Kenzie Noel on the 11th and $70 on the 11th. If you're spending that money, know that there is a cap on this market for a first baseman if you are a first base only. John Kenzie, ton of power, 70 grade raw power, bat, hit tools a little bit less. A meh prospect, decent, but not spectacular to write home about or anything. It's interesting. You can probably do a lot more damage with your $55 buying Bowman Chrome non-auto color of interesting prospects than you would getting a first baseman like John Kenzie Noel. So keep that in mind when you are doing your investments. Sometimes there are better options out there, even if you really like a guy, even if he has a ton of power. You just have to look at Eloy, Yordan, and Pete Alonso to see why.
What is up, everybody? It's Zach from At Premier Soccer Investing here with the SlabStox FC 5 at 5 take of the week. Let's get into it. First, obviously, the huge news to come out of this week is Erling Haaland to Manchester City is official. City is triggering his about 60 million euro release clause, and they're going to be paying him 375,000 a week. It's obviously a great deal for City. They didn't even have to go out and break their wage structure to sign in Haaland, and putting him into that team will be absolutely nightmarish for the rest of the Premier League and whoever's in the Champions League next year as well. And then also to come out of this week is that Kylian Mbappe, the other big piece to fall in this summer's transfer market, is still undecided about where he will be going. But Real Madrid is still very confident that they will be the ones to get his signature, even though PSG has come with a new and improved proposal as stated by Fabrizio Romano. But let's get into it. Let's compare these two guys, because these guys really are the face of the soccer card market going forward and the face of the sport of soccer as a whole going forward. And they've been pretty relatively comparable so far, especially when we look at two very comparable cards in the 2019 and Haaland's 2019 Topps Chrome Bundesliga base PSA 10 and Kylian Mbappe's 2017 Topps Chrome Champions League base PSA 10. the Haaland card is obviously a bigger pop, as you can see, almost over 100 more PSA 10s, and it has a higher value too and a higher market cap. This is very interesting to me, as it is pretty widely considered, I would say, that Mbappe is the better all-around player of the two, and especially over the past year where Haaland was on a relatively non-competitive Dortmund team, and Mbappe had a potential to win the Champions League with PSG until their shock elimination against Real Madrid, that the chart especially would look the way it does. So you can see Haaland's value and Mbappe's value both hit their peaks in the spring of 2021 when they were both on deep runs in that year's Champions League. And now prices have fallen pretty dramatically since then. That is partly as a result of less team success and maybe not as good individual performances, but it's also due to the market stabilizing. You have a lot of cards coming back from PSA, kind of flooding the market, as there's a lot more scarcity at this point of the market where their values peak than where the market is today. But pretty consistently for the past year and a half or so, Haaland has had a higher value than Mbappe almost the whole way through. And their chart shapes do mirror each other. So, but again, Haaland's value is higher. Why is that? It's a little perplexing to me, to be honest, especially with what's going to come in the future. So Haaland, as we know, plays for Norway. Norway will not be a part of this year's World Cup. Mbappe plays for France. France is going to be one of the favorites in this year's World Cup. And Mbappe already has a World Cup win to his name. Additionally, Mbappe has played for a better team over the last couple of years than Haaland, but I think that'll be changing now going forwards. You put Haaland into that City team, it'll be very hard to pick against them both to win the Premier League, which they will probably do this year, and their highly coveted Champions League, which they've been unable to get their hands around so far. But adding Haaland into the team might be exactly what they need. So I can see the higher value being for Haaland there if you're betting on Champions League success. But in the short term, I still feel that Mbappe's value should be higher and that there's a little bit of a discrepancy there that doesn't make too much sense. Even though Mbappe in that Real Madrid team, they should win the league. They should be one of the main challengers for the Champions League as they're in the final this year. But this trend is not just shown in their more base market type cards, but this also comes in at the higher end of the spectrum, as you can see from the same cards, but the numbered out of 99. The Haaland card PSA 10 hit a high point of $43,200. And then Mbappe PSA 10 has hit a high point of $16,800. Yes, there's 12 more PSA 10s for the Mbappe, but there are 15 less in the overall pop report. So again, there's a discrepancy there. Less Mbappe cards. In my opinion, he is the better player, and he has the better national team situation, but a lesser value than Haaland, who might score more goals, but Mbappe is playing for Real Madrid, which is probably the biggest club in the world, if he does sign there. And he has the World Cup coming at the end of this year, and Haaland will be sitting at home for that month. And what do Haaland cards do then? When Mbappe cards should be going crazy if France does make a run, which they probably will, and that'll be as a result of him. Curious to see what you guys think, as always.
What's up, everyone? It's Aaron back here for this week's 5 at 5 Formula One segment. Starting off here with my predictions from last week's 5 at 5. I had Max Verstappen 1, Sergio Perez 2, and Carlos Sainz 3 getting onto the podium. Looking at the actual results of the race, I was quite close with having Verstappen and Sainz in the correct positions 1 and 3, but I had Perez at 2 and Leclerc ended up getting 2. Would have been the safer pick, but I wanted to spice it up a little bit. You know how that goes. We ended the race with Perez 3, Perez 4, George Russell 5 in a very impressive drive, Hamilton 6, Bottas 7, Ocon is at 8th in an also impressive drive. Alonso at 9th in a drive that I think he shouldn't even gotten top 10 with all those time penalties. That is crazy. Crash Gasly, whatever. I'm over it. And Albon at 10th for his second points finish of the season, which is very impressive considering he's running in either the slowest or one of the slowest cars this entire year in the Williams. As for the Miami Grand Prix vibes, of course, they had to put football helmets on the Max and Sainz and Leclerc on the podium. And they didn't really look comfortable in them because they took them off pretty quickly. And I wouldn't be comfortable either, considering how hot it was in driving for the last hour and a half. No way I'd want a football helmet on my head, but there is Max looking happy in it. And as for some sales we're going to focus on, we're going to look at 2 drivers that had some sales after this weekend. So the first is George Russell. This is a Sapphire Variation Orange out of 25 PSA 8 rookie. So for $3,630 on May 10th, impressive sale for sure. to get top 5 in all 5 races this season. The only driver to do so in F1 this year right now is George Russell in a Mercedes car, which was expected to be championship quality. It's not, but to do it without the championship quality car is super impressive. I mean, none of the other drivers have done that, and he is in not one of the top cars in the field. So good to see for him. All the people buying the hype last year. Before that, though, Charles Leclerc, his orange sapphire variation on 25 PSA 8 car layer estimated value currently is at 4,851. Seems a little low considering that George just sold for 3,630. I'd imagine if this Leclerc does come up for sale, it would probably sell higher than 5K. I'd assume. Now, I'm not always right. I might not be right here, but I got to expect that. Last sold for 2,150 December 19th, 2021. So whoever's got that can make some big profit right now. But as for a George car that's not doing too well, his SGC 10 purple rookie F399. Oh, some of the purples have increased in price, don't get me wrong. But this one sold for 1,175 on May 8th. Someone went out of their way to submit an offer for 2,000 on March 18th, which was right before the season began. Not everyone was aware that Mercedes might not be at the Ferrari or Red Bull level at that point. Of course, after the first race, it's very clear that Ferrari and Red Bull were leaps and bounds above them. And this, even though Hamilton got podium and Russell got third, without the 2 Red Bull DNFs, they would not have gotten that close to the podium, obviously. But this car, all I'm saying is it has dropped since the start of the season. Maybe something to look out for to maybe scoop up some of the ones that aren't as low of number if you don't have the budget to spend on $4,000 or $5,000 card. Maybe a good look. Valtteri Bottas, the other driver I want to talk about, because he's in Alfa Romeo now after being Hamilton's teammate for the last number of years at Mercedes, and he is the lead driver now at Alfa Romeo, paired with a rookie in Guan Yu Zhou, and Bottas is proving to everyone he's an extremely quality driver. He qualified 5th this past weekend above both of the Mercedes, and at the race, he finished 7th, which was right behind him, but still a very quality result given he's in an Alfa Romeo car. Great driver, 275 was a recent sale on the variation refractor PSA 9, which is a marginal increase of $25 since the April 24th sale. But there's not that much graded Bottas and PSA because his stuff isn't as expensive. So if you do want to scoop up some raw or whatever it might be, might not be a bad idea. We have one small Bottas. Or actually 2, but they're Grand Prix cards from 2020 in orange on 25 SGC 9.5. Either way, if you're on a budget, excellent driver, might be worth a look. As for all-time F1 podiums, Max just entered the top 10 already at 63. Bottas is right above him at 9th at 67. So it really does show, how good of a driver that Bottas is and has been. He's in the top 10 all time. Also just shows how crazy Verstappen is to be top 10 already. Looking ahead, we've got Spain 2022 coming up in Barcelona. Very excited for this. I love Barcelona. It's going to come up the weekend of May 21st, 22nd, in that range. Can't wait to see who wins, who does well, who doesn't. And I can't wait to be back with another 5 at 5 in the near future. This Sunday night, 9:45 p.m. Eastern Time, we will be back on YouTube Live for our Flip Quest episode number 17 here in the PWCC Weekly Auction. Every Sunday we come and look at the market, watch it, buy some cards, sell some cards, give away some cards. And this week for our 2 cards we're looking at, there's 4 on this screen, but I had to have 4 there to fit the 2. Steph Curry, flawless patch auto 2016, absolutely nasty. And then we have the John Morant's in-flight orange pulsar. I think it's the first off the line exclusive, number 35 auto PSA 10. The Steph Curry right now is at 1850. The John Morant's at 1575. And these are 2 teams that are matched up in the playoffs right now. Nate, what about that blowout last night?
Dude, this Warriors team, I had a buddy text me last night, and he's like, you think the Suns come out of the West? And I said, nah, I think it's the Warriors. They're healthy. And I'm not going to bet against the healthy Steph, Clay, Draymond, and now Jordan Poole. And then they go put up a game like that where they lose by 40. What
makes you question it.
It does make you question it. If you can lose by 40 to this Grizzlies team
without Ja,
that's a real bad sign.
Who some people say might be better based on the stats.
Yeah, I saw a tweet today, where it said only 2 teams in the history of the NBA have been in the finals with a 40-point loss on their record in the playoffs. And one of those teams had a 40-point loss in the finals. So really only one team has made it to the finals with a 40-point loss at any point.
Got you. Well, the interesting thing here is that they gave up 77 points in the first half, and I'm not really sure how that's going to bode for them against matchup nightmares, presumably with the Suns. If they even do make out of the series, who knows? Maybe the Grizzlies close it off. As for the John Morant auto, quite the sales history on this. The 2019 Select Neon Orange Pulsar. It sold for $19,000 as a PSA 10 on May 5th, 2022. I mean, we're literally talking a week ago. That's right before Ja got hurt. January 12th, 2022, sold for $6,600. Now, the other one was just a best offer sale, so you never really know. I mean, I'm assuming it's paid for and everything, but that's just such a big jump. I know Ja's markets went crazy in 5 months, especially the rare cards. We'll have to see what this does. If the Grizzlies are eliminated by Sunday, which is very possible they will be, I think actually we might know for sure by Sunday night because Game 7 is going to be on Sunday. I think if that happens, we'll see what happens. I think a lot of people have talked about Ja's market kind of being way too high compared to the rest of the basketball card market right now. Maybe it's in for a correction. As for the Curry, Nate, what are you picking here? I guess not necessarily for the next 2 months, but for more long-term outlook between Ja and Curry. One's rookie, one's not. One's flawless, one's select.
Well, I will say this. I'm gonna put a little caveat here. The select in-flight autos of Ja and of Kobe are like my favorite on-card autos I think I've ever seen.
They're
Like,
awesome.
I don't know what it is about it, but I love it.
Yeah,
Especially like the neon green like 149s. Something about that card just pops.
I think those are like 35, but also 35. They're just out of the hobby boxes. But I agree with you. The in-flight autos are sick. When it doesn't have the neon pulsar on it, this background here looks amazing. It's like up in the sky in like a sunset. Super cool. Does that mean you're going to take the in-flight auto then?
So that was my caveat because while I love the card, there's no way I'm choosing against Steph Curry.
Oh,
Look at those
man.
patches. On-card auto patches, Steph Curry. I know it's not a rookie, but it's numbered to 25. It's a good grade for a flawless card. I can't choose against Steph Curry.
No way. I can't either. It's got to be that one. We'll see what it ends out on Sunday. And now let's check out what we have selling because we do have a few cards selling this Sunday, part of the Flip Quest 2022. So we've got a few ending, including a George Russell Sapphire Rookie S70. And keep in mind, the only reason why we are selling at least this card plus some of these other ones is because we did make the play to get the George Russell Dynasty. If you go and check out last Sunday's live, we'll talk about why we made a move to pick up a monster to try to grade rather than holding these right here. And then we've got, Brett Favre, Shea, Sabrina Ionescu, Walker Buehler, which he's been doing, I think, pretty well this year. Nate, I don't know about overall, but I know he had a big complete game the other day or week or whatever, and then a Haaland sticker. So we'll see what these things wind down for. Hopefully it makes up a good portion of that, the George Russell we picked up, and then we've got some other cards selling in the future auctions. But be sure to come and check it out at 9:45 p.m. Eastern time this Sunday night. As for this 5 at 5 episode, that was the episode. We hope you all enjoyed. Let us know your feedback on this one. We're just trying to gather as much as we can to see if this is a good format going forward, which we think it is, but we want to make sure you think so too.